Here he is, five-time first-team All-Pro linebacker, Panthers radio analyst, smartest guy in football. Probably last time I'm calling you a non-Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer, but maybe even more importantly, Luke Kuechly, um, part owner of the Monterrey Osos. Talk to me about the fact that you are now an American football team owner down in Mexico.
Yeah, how about that? So that was the brainchild of Ryan Khalil. Ryan Khalil lives out in California.
Oh.
Obviously, he played here for a long time. He owns a production company with Blake Griffin, and Ryan has always talked about what would we do if we were the owners of a football team. So Ryan's been hunting for a long time, and he found it down there, and he's rebranded it, and he wants to do a documentary and follow the team throughout the season. And if Ryan's going to do it, it's going to be really cool. So for Ryan to include us and Greg and McCaffrey and Pep and Stu and Sam Darnold and of course Coach Rivera, it's gonna be a lot of
Oh.
fun. Ryan put it all together for us, and it'll be an awesome journey for us.
I heard Blake Griffin's involved in this, George Kittle, the names you mentioned, the part of my take guys, Big Cat, PFT commenter. Congratulations on this. I can't wait to see what happened, but what happens with this. I need to know what the pitch was. So you're sitting there on a Zoom or a phone call or a text or whatever it is. What's the pitch from Blake Griffin and Ryan Khalil?
Well, Ryan calls and just Ryan always is looking for reasons to get everybody together and hang out. And he's like, "Hey, would this sound fun to you for us to go down to Mexico and watch a football team and have fun with the guys down in Mexico and have a convenient excuse to go on a trip and talk about the game of football and spread the game of football?" So I think everybody kind of signed up and said, "Absolutely."
That's amazing. And they, by the way, successful not long ago, 2022 Liga de Football Americano, Monterrey won the LFA championship. So I can't wait to see. I don't know whose wedding is next. Maybe yours, Luke, but you're scribbling down plays for these Osos down there. But that's very cool. Are you happy I'm not talking to you at the Hall of Fame?
Hey, you know what belongs in the Hall of Fame? You already
Go
spoke
on.
about it. Is Grader's ice cream. I don't
Let's talk
know.
about
I
it.
don't know how you got hooked up
I
with
have my
Grader's ice
freezer
cream,
right
but
here.
I
Listen, I
saw
am
that.
I am a true I belong to Cincinnati, of course. I got the Skyline spice. I'm not going to try it yet, but it is right here. Graders is the best thing that's ever happened, as we all know. It's truly the best ice cream. But this is the Skyline chili. It's called French pot ice cream, Skyline spice with oyster crackers. What do you think? Would you be brave enough to try?
That is a combination of two staples in Cincinnati: Skyline chili, Grader's ice cream. Actually,
Okay.
my parents had some, my brothers had some, and they both gave it a thumbs up. So now I got to find a way to get it down here in Charlotte.
Oh, I have a feeling. I mean, listen, I got you here. Well, it's cream, milk, cane sugar, crackers. That's kind of it. Eggs and some spice. I'm actually very interested in this. I can't wait to try it at the end of the show. Graders is the best. The Bengals are the best, but guess what, Luke? They didn't make it. They're not in it. They're all making checks on Radio Row next week, trying to hawk product. So let's get into the teams that will be unavailable for Media Row and all of the fun appearances at Super Bowl in New Orleans at Super Bowl 59. I know you've looked at the tape, both these teams. You, of course, with the Panthers radio calls, you've prepped on these teams. What is the most important? Take me like into the one-on-one matchup that in your mind's going to decide this thing.
I think what the theme this year with the Eagles is their ability to run the ball. And so for the Chiefs, I think it starts up front with Chris Jones. Can he be disruptive? We
Oh,
all know that he lines up all over the place. Is he able to penetrate and make plays behind the line of scrimmage? Because we all know the explosive plays that Saquon's been able to make this year is what's been deal breakers. And you look at Chris Jones, his ability to penetrate, get through the line of scrimmage, create negative plays, puts them behind the sticks, and then the advantage starts to slowly slide to Kansas City in third and long situations with that Spags defense.
I mean, Saquon has been unstoppable. I feel like I ask you every week, how do you stop him? What do you do? We talk gaps. We talk this. The line for his rushing yards are 112 and a half on FanDuel Sportsbook right now. Let's say he gets those yards. Let's say he gets a touchdown, little icing on, little graders on top of that. Is that enough for the Eagles, or do they need more to beat the Chiefs?
I think he was under 130 last week and they scored 55 points. So I don't think he needs to have a particular number for them to win. I think the name of the game for the Chiefs is, can we limit explosive plays? Because if you look at the Chiefs on the defense side of the ball, I don't think it's going to be a 3-and-out type of game. I think things are going to be converted. But what happens when the ball gets down the field into the red zone? Can they hold them to field goals, and can they take the ball away in the red zone? I think if you start giving up these long, explosive plays and they score touchdowns, that's when it gets out of hand. But if they can give up 3, 4, 5 yards at a time, tighten up in the red zone, I think the advantage again pushes back to Kansas City. But the explosive plays of Philly is what's killed their opponents throughout the season.
And it kills their soul too. Like you almost have to like know that Saquon's going to break off a couple and be able to deal with that, right? Be able to say, okay, I'm not going to let this get me down. We're going to go right back out there and try. It's like very, I can't imagine fun to have to deal with that. The Chiefs, by the way, have gone 18 straight playoff games. This is so crazy. They've gone 18 straight playoff games without allowing a 100-yard rusher with Spags.
It's pretty stout. They're pretty good on the defense side of the ball. I think they'd have to do a lot in order to keep Saquon away from 100 yards. But,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we've talked about Saquon all year and how to stop him, and nobody's been able to do that. But I think if you look at Kansas City on the defensive side of the ball, what does Philly do really well? They're big, they're physical, there's huge run lanes. So if you're Kansas City, what do you do on the defensive side of the ball? Do you pressure them? Do you use line movement to kind of alter where the aiming points and the hitting points of the run game are? I think if you just line up and 4 down and say, hey, go win against this big physical offensive line, you're asking for trouble. But I'm sure Spags has some run blitzes, some interior run blitzes, some blitzes off the edge that all incorporate some sort of line movement to use the quickness of this Kansas City defensive line and hopefully throw off some blocking assignments, let these linebackers get downhill in the clean running lanes on Saquon. And then the one-on-one tackles are really what it's going to come down to on that second level. If Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquil can get downhill, they're clean to Saquon. Can they make that tackle and limit the yards after contact that we've talked about so much with Saquon this year?
Uh, Saquon's one thing. If they do limit him, throw those blitzes, those tricks, whatever. We've talked a lot about how what you wanted to see was Jaylen Hurts in these past situations. Did you see what you needed to see last week from Jaylen?
Yeah, I think he threw it around a lot better last week. He was 20 of 28. Obviously, AJ Brown got more involved. Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, their 3 best players in the pass game were heavily involved. And then I give Jaylen Hurts a lot of credit in saying, hey, the last couple weeks I haven't played to my best. I'm not going to go out there and try to light it up. I'm going to take what the defense gives me. I'm going to make a couple big throws when he's at his best. He's thrown in rhythm. He's going to take his drop. His back foot's going to hit. He's going to come off that back foot and make a great throw. And then his ability to lean on that run game and not feel like I need to go out there and prove to people who I am, what I am. He's going to sit back there. He's going to hand the ball off to Saquon when he needs to make a big rhythm throw. I still believe he has the ability to do that.
I talked to a couple of coaches this week as I'm trying to book my shows for next week and mentioned that you were going to be on the show today. And there was a lot of, Luke's instincts. Like, what makes Luke so great? Luke's instincts. Luke knew 80% of the plays before the snap. Luke knew this. So I'm seeing these Steve Spags blitzes, right? This pressure. He does it a lot. I know that some of them are unique. You couldn't see what happened on 4th and 5, right? What is it about these blitzes with Spags that makes them so effective?
Well, I think first of all, they get him in a situation where they want him 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7 plus. It allows them to send more pressure. As pressure comes, they get free runners like this right here. And then the routes downfield don't develop. So the ball either has to be thrown hot and they're a good tackling defense so they can come up and make these quick tackles in the ball in the flat, or the ball in these routes don't have the ability to unfold downfield and there's nowhere to throw the ball to. And I think a lot of these open runners and cleaners runners come from the ability of Spags to disguise not only who's coming, but what kind of coverage we're playing. Are we going to show 6, 7 guys on the line of scrimmage, send 5 and then drop? Or are we going to send, 6 guys, play 0 man behind it and make you go make a decision and throw the ball? Or are we just going to rush forward, drop 7 and say, hey, you have to find a window and throw the ball? So I think that's the biggest thing with Spags is nothing looks the same. There's all kinds of bodies around the line of scrimmage. And at the end of the day, if you don't get everybody blocked up in these 3rd and 7 windows, and there's really no opportunity for these routes to develop down the field. And just a really good job by them playing well on 1st and 2nd down, and then Spags not being repetitive and different looks and different guys coming and people on a really good blitz path and staying disciplined. They always keep the quarterback inside the pocket, make him step up the pressure. They're just well coached, they're well disciplined, and they disguise really well.
I feel like you're so plugged into that Bills fan base. You have a relationship that you don't hide from with Sean McDermott and company. That fan base is in shambles. Like they are feeling it. There's blame game. There's this, there's that. What do you sort of make of, Bills fans feel like this was taken away from them. What do you think happened?
I just think there's such an expectation in Buffalo with, the coach from Sean McDermott to Brandon Beane, the GM, to the quarterback Josh Allen of, making the playoffs is what's expected, and going to the Super Bowl is the expectation every year. So first of all, it's, two teams make it every year, so that's very
Mhm.
difficult. But when you go on the road and you play an Arrowhead against the Kansas City Chiefs, you just have to flat out win and not make it close. And, there's a couple plays at the end of the game. They're obviously, everyone's talking about the fourth down sneak play, and you can say what you want about that. But if you're going to win games on the road in the playoffs at a place like Arrowhead against the Chiefs in the run they've had the past couple of years, you just have to flat out beat them. You can't make it close. You can't make anyone else make the decision other than you. It's kind of like when Buffalo played them the first time. They just flat out beat them. So,
Yeah.
that's the hard part. You can blame it on whoever you want. I don't think that's necessarily the right thing to do. I think when you get in there and you're the Buffalo Bills playing a game on the road in the playoffs, you just have to go win. Straight up have to beat them.
Um, when I got on the call the day after, so Monday morning, the first thing out of my mouth was like, why are we sneaking so much if it's not working? I know it worked for them all year. Like, he was 2 for 5, I think. Like, it wasn't working. Do you think that the Eagles with against Spags should push the tush in the Super Bowl?
I think Philly just does it in such a different manner than anybody else in the
Okay.
NFL.
How?
If everyone, I just think they're so busy, big and physical on the inside. You look at Saquon, everybody's seen him squat. Dallas Goedert's a big defense or a big tight end. Obviously, Jalen Hurts is a strong, powerful body. And then you look at the guys on the inside, there is so much strength and power. Landon Dickerson, Mekhi Becton obviously slid inside from playing tackle. Cam Jurgens, a center. There's so much power and strength on the inside there, and he does such a great job of getting behind those three inside guys in the great push from Goddard and Saquon. I think they're just very efficient at it. They're very good at it. And if you're Kansas City, I think you have to be very cognizant. If you're an edge player, like a corner, some sort of a DB, you got to keep your eyes on your tight ends. Their ability, they don't have to sneak it every time. I think if they go from 4th and 1 to a first down, you can say, hey, you know what? That's unfortunate, but we live to play another down. Where you get in trouble is if they fake
Yeah.
sneak it and they pop a ball over the top for a big play, an explosive touchdown. That's where the real problem comes in. So, yeah, you'd like to stop them on 4th down, but these outside corners and DBs have to play with really good eyes on the end man on the line of scrimmage.
I'm trying to understand. So Spags can't just do the same thing he did last week to this team?
No, I think it's a completely different sneak. You watch Josh and how he sneaks the ball. Everything seems to go snap, let the offensive line get a push and move to
Okay.
his left. Jalen Hurts he's just right behind that offensive line. So, I
So
mean,
it's the
that,
center
that
and the guards that are the big difference.
absolutely.
Oh my gosh, Kuechly, you teach me things all the time. I love it. Hey, quickly, who is the most difficult offensive play caller you had to face in your career?
Oh man, I think the guy that I played against the most, there's two of them. I think Kyle Shanahan, obviously, Washington, then he was in Cleveland, then he was in Atlanta, and then he was in San Francisco. I felt like we played them every year, and we knew him, he knew us, right? So that's number one. And then Sean Payton down in New Orleans with Drew.
Mhm.
I felt like there was always 3 or 4 plays each game where we were able to draw something up on the defensive side of the ball and hit them, like clean sack, clean negative yardage play, surprise Drew with a coverage that he hadn't seen or a version of it before. And then
Mm,
then you flip the script, and then Drew and Sean, I felt like would always have a couple plays where they got us exactly where they wanted us to be. They got the exact coverage they want. They knew how we played that coverage, and then they were able to get a big play on it. So it was always kind of the back and forth with Sean and Drew of, all right, we're going to make 1 or 2 plays just based on what we know about you and what we know about
mhm.
us. And then you flip the script, and it's kind of the same way on the other side of the ball as well.
And you gave them hell, both of them, which has led to a future Hall of Fame career that you don't want to talk about. But we're just going to keep getting smarter here on the program. It is time for the weekly, geekly, not for the meekly, probably pretty geekly moment of genius. You, my friend, you're brilliant. I need to know one play from either the Eagles or the Chiefs this season that you just know is going to make me smarter ahead of the Super Bowl.
I think you look at the Chiefs and they're so well coached and they get a lot of man coverage on third down and they understand who their guys are. They understand what Travis Kelce does well. They understand what Mahomes does well. And then obviously Worthy on the outside. So it was Chiefs against the Chargers and they get man coverage right here. And it's a simple pick play, but how they set it up is great. You get the fastest guy in the NFL running on over, and then you get Kelce setting the screen, the pick. And the biggest thing in plays like this is you have to know how to be the pick guy. The amount of times that these teams run these mesh routes and the pick player gets called for offensive pass interference and the play comes back and then it goes from third and short to third and long. And essentially now you got to go punt the ball. When they put Kelce out there, he knows how to get in the way. He knows how to not get a flag thrown on him. He knows how to set his guy up. So for them to push two big bodies to the backside of that formation, let Worthy come across, it's good play design. It's good acknowledgement of Mahomes. Hey, I got man coverage, and then good job by Worthy of just running that route with great speed and confidence. But you're going to get something like that against Philly this week. And if you're Philly and you're playing man coverage, and there's any kind of a hole player sitting in the middle of that defense with no responsibility other than to be a help player, you have to be able to look at that. If it's Zach Bond, you got to say, hey, I've got a compressed formation. There's people tight. We're playing man coverage. Mahomes knows that. If I'm a cut player and I'm taking over that route, I need to tell that corner right away, hey, Darius Slay, I'm going to cut him right now. And then he can slide off and make another play.
I mean, and this is where I did this whole thing about Brett Veach back in 2022 with the draft class going so defense heavy for the Tyreek trade, all of that. But like Brett Veach adding more speed to this offense in terms of Worthy, who was gifted to them, which was like a just shock around the NFL when it happened. We knew it was coming. And then even Hollywood Brown, like adding that speed can turn these easy completions into these big plays that turn the game on their head and decide games. We have Luke Kuechly with us. We're going to take a short break. We're going to bring in Patrick Surtain. This is why you want to be subscribed to the YouTube, because you're not going to see this on the TV side. Get to the YouTube, subscribe, and let's take a short TV break and bring in Patrick Surtain. All right, let's do it. Patrick, are you here?
Yeah.
I mean, let's just get you lined up. Let's get your face in the cam.
Yeah.
I mean, these are two of the greatest players ever, just chatting it up. Hey, guys.
What's going on? Where are you right now?
I'm in Orlando at the Pro Bowl. We at the
nice.
Conrail.
That's awesome.
A nice little resort. So enjoying my time out here. What's going on, Kate?
I'm good. I'm so happy to see you. My pick, my favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. I have so many things to ask you. I might have bothered some people on your team for some intel. I mean, you just heard Luke say that Sean Payton was the offensive play caller that gave him the most hell. How does that go over?
I could believe it because he has his own little nuances throughout the game. I mean, I just think that he's a mastermind when it comes to play calling. I mean, he'll tell us every day in practice, like, what he sees in defenses. Like, he sees different tendencies, and he gets a picture of how the game's going to go. And I don't know how he does it, but that's what it was, and that's how he sees it. So.
I love that. Luke, I think you had a question for Pat.
So I'm a huge Nick Saban guy. I love how he coaches. I love how he is with the media. I love just his overall feel of the game of football. I just am very curious. What is the one thing you learned from him in Alabama?
The one thing I learned from him was, never get complacent. Like in your work ethic with your habits. I think he's very big on creating the right habits for yourself. And because everything about the program is not only bringing in the right guys, but having guys with the right demeanor and the right mindset and being on top of those things. And if you have those things, he'll be able to trust you and once you gain trust from a person like that, that could go a long way. So I think the things I learned from him helped me along the ways in my career for sure.
Awesome.
Love that, Luke. We're going to say bye to you. Do you have a Super Bowl pick for me, Luke?
I have
No,
a
you're
hard
not gonna
time
escape it.
rooting against the
Oh,
Kansas
stop.
City Chiefs.
Pick a team.
I've been 0 for 3 the last couple weeks rooting against the Eagles, so I'm sure the people in Philly don't like me a whole lot. I picked the Rams over them, picked the Commanders over them. Again, I just have a hard time rooting against Patrick Mahomes and that Kansas City Chiefs team.
Wow. You bring up Zach Bond and the Chiefs. We have Patrick